The internet giant's big bet on video as part of its turnaround efforts. The deal is expected to be announced as early as today. Here to weigh in this morning, John Steinberg's BuzzFeed's president and COO, a CNBC contributor. John, always good to see you.
Good to be here, guys. Yeah.
You call this what? Amazing, interesting, curious?
Yahoo's going to be a media company, right? And Kara Swisher had the scoop on Friday. It's kind of a little bit of a go back to the Terry Semel, Ross Levinson type strategy. They brought on David Pogg now to do reporting. They did the SNL deal for content. Now we have Katie Couric being the global news anchor for that front page. So I think they're committed to being a media company.
If you made this move, what's the first metric you would want to see move as a result?
Social lift. Social lift. That front page can send so much traffic to any piece of content. You don't actually know if it's good or not. Social really is the new metric. They need to be closely monitoring how much are Katie's stories being shared, how many are the video views being shared. That social lift or viral lift metric needs to be what they look at.
And that's what's interesting, because this is a big push for them into video, which they already have quite a bit of. But how important is it for them to get mind share the same way, you know, a regular news channel would? Has that day arrived where for the young consumer, they might get their news from a Katie Couric at Yahoo the same way they would from NBC or CBS?
Well, the trend really starts to continue. You know, on Friday we were talking about the cable consolidation that's going on right now over the top that's happening. I think this is all part of that continuous thread. The cable companies become broadband companies. They consolidate to try to keep prices high, and then everybody now goes over the top. And Katie Couric's essential to that.
But this is a very, I mean, they're trying to do it in a very uphill way. You know, if you look at Netflix, it's a subscription model. If you look at cable, it's a subscription model. If you look at even national networks in this country, they're kind of a subscription model through the way in which they get reimbursement fees. What she's betting is that she can do it through display advertising. Now, you work in this area. This is now auctioned in real time, online. I mean, this is a brutal area in which to sell advertising.
Yes, I completely agree with you. It's brutal, and I think it is a very old way of going about it, and she is a very traditional anchor, and it is sort of a very traditional media strategy. They aren't doing something that's a little edgier and younger, and they're not going with more of a Netflix.
How can they possibly monetize a TV budget?
Right.
How can they make money back from that?
Yeah.
It's not of the same order of magnitude as what Netflix
I mean, the video CPMs are much higher, but Simon, I agree with you. I don't think this is a future-proof strategy. I don't think this is a way to turn around the company. I think it's a very traditional media bet as one of the more modern media.
It's a flashy move by Marissa to grab attention.
And I think Katie's a very traditional anchor and not somebody that's going to bring a young audience. They already have the older traditional audience. They don't have a youth audience that you get with somebody like a Vice or like a BuzzFeed or something like that.
Well, she might have an older demo, but there are few personalities that are better known than she is, right?
Yeah, but I think that's sort of a traditional old way of looking at the world, right? Which is you've got a giant front page, a giant network. You assume that you're just going to flood people at it, when really social is the way that most people are getting traffic to online media right now. I mean, the network viewership, there was just an article that actually came out over the weekend. I think Business Insider did an article on this showing that the rates are going high because the viewership is actually going down, right?
Thanks a lot.
No, I love it. I mean, look, you guys, over the top is a big strategy for you guys.
No, we understand. We talk about it all the time.
I'm curious what you guys, I mean, you guys are also pursuing video. What do you think is the right way to go about it?
Branded content. Branded content. I mean, to Simon's point about the as being just kind of a deadly downhill slide right now, creating original content for brands, using the organic content, the editorial content to get enough traffic and recirculation to the standalone branded content, that really is the future. That's sort of what everybody's going into right now. It's sponsored stories on Facebook, it's sponsored updates on LinkedIn, it's promoted tweets on Twitter. All the great online properties right now are going to a more native, content-driven advertising unit.
So the advertisers will increasingly control the content that people watch?
Well, the advertisers will increasingly create standalone content that needs to be clearly labeled. I'm actually going to an FTC committee meeting about this, or an FTC hearing on this in a couple weeks in Washington to talk about kind of clear labeling around native, content-driven brand advertising.
Finally, stocks near above 36. You got to go back to 08 for some of these levels.
Yes.
The critics continue to say it's all based on Alibaba valuation, Yahoo Japan valuation, and Marissa is just playing with trinkets, toys in the meantime. Is it true or not?
Well, I mean, I was actually looking at a report on this over the weekend. I mean, Alibaba is an inordinate amount of the stock's value, right? Whether Alibaba opens at 100, 150, or 200 massively moves the stock, right? Once you get to 150 and you look at the core business, Yahoo does start to become expensive.
John, it's good to see you.
Good
Have fun at your FTC meeting. Sounds like a huge party.
No, thanks a lot, guys.
John Steinberg. We should note that CNBC and Yahoo have a business alliance to share and co-produce editorial.